Good morning, friends on the interwebs. I'm Rachael Blaske, and
I'm Julie Ahern.
so today's topic is actually the convention is live. It's like camp, but ah! So Julie and I, veterans of the board game industry, will chat over a good cup of coffee and discuss this topic that is vitally important to running a board game company, all the while discussing your comments and questions in the live chat because you're invited.
This episode,
Oh,
friends, this episode is brought to you by Titania Ascending. Queen Titania has united the forces of the Fae to conquer the earthly realm. She needs you, her advisors, to plan the attack. In this first of its kind cooperative flip and write game, you'll carefully create your map and then use that same map to lead the invasion. Summon your sirens, gather your golems, the earth trembles before Titania Ascending. Coming to Kickstarter this fall from Rattlebox Games and XYZ Game Labs.
good times. Okay, go away now. I was like, where? I'm here.
I know, but it was really good.
It was so pretty. I'm
Yes.
really excited about that one. So, guys, if you can share the stream, this is our last one for a while. We want to make sure that everybody gets to see it. So, please share now. Loving the Saved by the Bell this morning. We have some news.
Yes. So I'm noticing that usually we have a lot more people watching while we're live. And I'm not surprised the numbers are a little bit low for the very reason we're going to talk about for those of you who aren't at these conventions. But so really, technically, we knew kind of that we were skirting the edge that we were going to stop because a lot of people who watch are publishers and we're going to be at conventions. And convention season for publishers has started, my friends. So this week, let's talk about first Astra is having their show, and that's going on right now. Today, it started, so it's this whole weekend, so it's starting today. And so Astra is the American Specialty Toy Retailing Association. Astra. So they are a non-for-profit that you can join, just like Gamma, just like Women in Toys. And they are having their marketplace and academy. So it's for professionals. And so you have some pretty significant, bigger toy companies are part of this as well. So it has a big impact. And if you are ever potentially thinking about becoming a member, here is some information right now.
Oh, yes. Drop that in the chat.
Yep, will do. And so if you want to go look up what they do, that's where you can go. But they're having their show. And of course, it's a trade show, so it's not the same as a fan-based show. It's a lot of going to, you might have a booth, but it's only other professionals. So think more of a Gamma trade show kind of feel, but on a much bigger scale. Or New York Toy Fair, Shy Tag. Those are the kinds of, that's the feel that you're going to get from it. And then there are tons of seminars and networking abilities. So before Astra's show, PSI, who is a major consolidator in the industry, had their professional trade day as well because they are both in Minneapolis. I went to that, and I'll talk about that later in the show. So they had theirs first so that people could tag that on and go to PSI's trade day before they went to the Astra toy show. And so for publishers, it's a whole week already of conventions and professional development kind of category, and being able to get and talk to other their peers, but also get in contact with a lot of manufacturers, a lot of the bigger industry people like Amazon. So that's happening right now. So I'm not surprised we don't have all the people we generally see, because I'm fairly certain they're at a booth.
Yes.
They're not here. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, we're spinning up. I think everybody's just a little bit tired this week.
Well, there's that too. I mean, well, so going to a trade show, I've now traveled, attended 2 days of professional development, came back, tried to catch up on work, and will continue to do so because, say, for example, Quartermaster Logistics, who is our Kickstarter fulfillment, but they also do a lot of our shipping. I have to have my order for sending product to Gen Con to them
Yeah.
by Monday. So the second half of today is me. I thought I'd do it. I thought I'd be able to get to it before I left for
Mhm.
PSI. Too many other things happening. So,
Yep.
I have a hard deadline to get that in by Monday. So finalizing my order is due. So there are still deadlines going on that need to happen for conventions.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. That's
So
a
many
thing.
things.
And then the other thing, so this was a bit of a bigger piece of news about TMG. So it's interesting. If you want a full, we have in the links their
Mhm.
BGG information sent out. But
Right.
so
Yeah.
Dice Tower reported that they have filed for bankruptcy. They have clarified that they haven't. So there's a lot of rumor going around versus fact checking. I would recommend rather than go delving into it too deep to look into it.
Right.
But just as something that you should be aware of, some companies have done very well throughout the pandemic, and some have had a hard time.
Mhm.
TMG is one of them, and we hope that they recover.
Yes, absolutely. Well, everybody, I just want to remind you that now we have a little bell icon in the upper right hand corner, and you can choose to be notified every time we go live, which is going to be really important because our standard scheduling is about to get convention lifed. And so we're going to go live when we can. We're going to upload things to our YouTube channel as we're able and try and get some tips and tricks out to you still. But we're going into convention season. So instead, we'll just hang out with you in person. So,
We'll see. Well, we'll see some of you in person, but for those of
correct.
you who are still staying at home, we will be posting things directly to YouTube so that they are at your leisure. You will be able
Yes.
to watch them.
And we have the link to our YouTube account in the description box below so you can subscribe and find our archive shows after streaming. Okay, let's see here. Are we going to talk about conventions today?
We are going to wrap up this whole series on conventions with the convention has actually started. And now I'm going to do so anybody who's ever been, the attention Gen Con attendees.
Attention.
And the first one you hear is the door will be opening in 30 minutes. And then my response to every announcement like that is, ah!
I mean, at least yours is vocal. I just run. I just go and hide.
Oh, I'm usually running too towards my booth while I do it so that everybody whose booth is in the pathway can see it happen. I'm sure that's the only impression some people have ever gotten of me. That's a thing.
Perfect.
So, doors are open, people are coming in. Have you prepped? Are you ready? And what are you going to do now that it's open is our topic of conversation. So, the first thing we're going to quickly, like, this should have been done during prep, and we kind of covered it. Well, we did cover it last week, but when you planned out your booth, something that you may or may not have factored in is now there are people, there are bodies in there. And we talked about making, having the chair set back, doing that. But what we didn't necessarily talk about is, did you account for their stuff? Where are they putting their stuff? Where is your demo team putting their stuff? Are they putting it next to the table, and then everybody who comes in with their giant bags of games they purchased also putting down their stuff? Have you made your booth a death trap? So I have storage space in the back of my booth for product, but I always set aside space so that I can be like, here, put your bag, your backpacks, I ran around and bought games and didn't have time to go back to my hotel room before I go, and I have to be here at the booth for 4 hours. Stuff back somewhere where it's safe, where nobody else is going to, spy it and covet. Have some space for that, or have a plan for where it's going so that people aren't tripping. Um,
I'm thinking the exact same thing this year
Yeah.
as we've been growing the GPGF little layout. Last year, we totally did not plan for pipe and drape in the back of our info booth, and it was just trash. Like all of there was like duffel bags. It just looked really, really unprofessional. And so this year, we insisted on putting just a little bit of a curtain up there so we
Yep.
can keep all of our stuff there. It's just that extra touch and also not death trap.
Yeah. So, and if you start seeing it piling up, it's okay to go over to your demo team and be like, "Hello, friend. Gentle reminder: there is space in the back. Why don't you take a minute and, get a drink of water and bring your stuff on back there?" And of course, for the people coming in and demoing, you can't do that. But that's also about how quickly are you turning around. Is your demo a full event? Because if it's a full event, it should be in the events hall, or is it a demo? And if it's a demo, it's 5 to 15 minutes, and they're going to be on their way, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So be cognizant of that and be okay with like just communicating as you walk through the booth if something looks unsafe, that you're going to just move this to the side because it's unsafe.
Right.
I feel like safety is an understood concept.
Right.
So,
Adam has
next
a
thing.
good thing. Did you want to see that one?
Sure.
Let's see. A tower in the corner of the booth made of giant banners hiding personal stuff, extra stock, and some occasions a person who really wants to not see other people for a bit.
That's honestly, okay, so I am a massive introvert, and in my booth it's my fiefdom. I am comfortable. I'm surrounded by my people who I love and know, who I know I can rely on, and more on that in a little bit. I'm good. But I have been in a convention and gotten a panic attack because I've been overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Less so as years have gone on, and I know lots of people at lots of different booths, and I see my friends, and that grounds me. But when I was new, I had somebody said that I look so calm and collected in my booth.
Oh,
It
Kim,
is
yeah.
all
Oh, yeah.
a facade. I can deal with it and cope with it. I taught for many years. I use a lot of the same strategies, but it's all coping mechanisms because I am an introvert and I actually have a high level of anxiety my whole life. So when that happens, I can recognize it and take measures. And that's why I've always provided a space. But I can also recognize it in other people. And I'm going to tell you, not just my demo team, there's always somebody that comes by the booth and I can see everything is shutting down and they are about to they are about to go have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Sit on the floor and give up. Like I can see when it's happening. And so there have been several conventions where somebody's walking by or their friends are really excited and talking about a game and I'm seeing them and I walk over and I've very quietly been like, "Hey, I have a spot right here where you can hide. Would you like to hide for a few minutes?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, "Okay, here's a chair, sit here. Here's a water, drink the water. I'm going to come get you in 5 minutes, okay?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And in 5 minutes, I'm like, "Okay, are you better now?" And they're like, "Yeah, thanks." And they leave. And I never see them again, but I know that was something that they needed. And so therefore, it's a good thing to have, is all I'm
And
saying.
even extroverts. I have totally had panic attacks at conventions too. So there is no barrier to entry. We all can be socially anxious and just be conscious of it. So.
Right. So, all right. So let's talk about sales.
Okay.
So again, we talked about this already. You've already prepped what what you've brought, what you're planning on selling, how you're going to bundle it, what kind of special, like whether that something is on sale at a discount, whether it's MSRP, is it a new release? Are you packaging it with older products? You've already planned for all of that. But during the show, you also have to react to what is actually selling. So maybe you did an amazing marketing job and you're out of stock the first day. And so now what are you going to do with all the other stock that you have that you didn't market for? Or maybe it's not moving as fast as you want. What are you doing? And sometimes you're doing sales on the fly. I'm not going to lie. Post-its and a Sharpie are your friends here. If you choose to put something else on, maybe you're not. Maybe you have like 5 more conventions coming up and you're just going to save that for the next show. And that's okay. But that's a decision you have to make. And don't let that decision be made for you. If you know that you're going to do that, Be prepared. So in your sales, you know, are you using Stripe? Are you using PayPal? Whatever you're doing, set up beforehand. I have a 10%, 25%, 50% off already pre-programmed. And then I have $10 off, like $5 off, $10 off, $25 off, $100 off, that I can just click the button and make a sale
Right.
amount, so that on the fly, if I'm like, all right, I have 60 cases and it's not going quickly, I'm going to do 25% off. I don't have to take the time to reorganize what I'm doing, but communicate that with your team too. So that's, the stickers are up, let them know that that's happening. Do not, unless you're giving authority to somebody, make sure that they don't get to make the decision about the sale. As enthusiastic as some people are, that has happened to me, and it's never poorly intentioned, but make sure they know, if there is a sale, I will let you know. Do not tell anybody that there might be a sale coming.
Yep. Yep.
So all of those things, make sure that you're reacting quickly in the moment.
So you are the queen of in the booth. I really like to leave the booth.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw in a quick little thing about when you're networking and you are at other events, or if you have like a couple of minutes out of the booth. I was just going to throw out business cards. We had this conversation last night, and I asked Julie, do you think that business cards are going to go away? I don't think so.
No, I know that a lot of stuff is going to online, and I think that that's good, and being smarter and more savvy about reaching. And we're going to talk about that too, about how a lot of sales are moving to online later on. But yes, in a physical space, having a physical reminder is important. So I posted the other day, I have on my screen, and I will have them up in our booth, for sell sheets and for general links to general information. Rather than printing out a tree full of paper about our product, I now have a QR code that links to the Dropbox that has all our sell sheets for publishers to do at a trade show. But in person at a fan show, yeah, you're still going to want a card, and you're going to want a card that people are going to remember.
Yes. So one of the things that is really important to me, and has worked really well for me, is you get a ton of cards as you're walking around, and you either take the time to write on it and remember something about that interaction, or you can actually have people remember your face, and because that is such a huge part of it. So
It's super helpful. You think,
yeah.
well, they're going to remember me. I was a delight and a treasure. But in truth, they're going to meet 50 people that day. And if they're anything like me, they're going to be overwhelmed while they do it. So I'll be like, oh my God, I had that great conversation with that person. Who was it? And then you look down at a sea of business cards and you're like, nope.
Yeah. Yep.
Super sad. Hope they message me, because I can't remember which one of these it is. I can narrow down to these 3.
Right.
And I'm not playing business card roulette, messaging all of them about the topic that only one of us had. So having your picture is huge. And Rachel, you had
I have a little option, or a little example here. So this is, okay, nobody laugh. Okay. This was the very first one I ever made. And I had my face on it. Total points to anybody who remembers me with brown hair. This was like December 2018, I think, the PAX 2018 show. And yeah, so this really helped because people then remembered. And then afterwards, once I started changing my hair color, and that would throw people off, I actually went to I created a business card that had 3 different hair colors of mine.
So having your picture, and that's important because you changed your hair. So being recognizable, sending home that was good. I will say, Alan said something about it, leaving so he's saying leave the back blank, mostly blank, but having negative space is actually very useful.
Yes.
If you make the whole thing, and this is more, artists tend to do it more than any other industry in the board game industry, where they're trying to fill with their art, which makes sense because they're trying to show their product. But if you do that, I don't have space to write a note that I can read. So leaving space for notes. So I have 2.
Yes.
And I have my scary one,
Pinup
and I have my
girl.
Cupid Stabby one.
Yes.
Um, which turns into a social experiment because I leave both out and see what people take, but it also gauges my interest level, what kind of games they're interested in looking at and talking about. So
Right.
it actually, for me, is also a little litmus test. And now, having talked about that, for trade shows, I have added the QR code to our sell sheets. So
Right.
the back of my card is actually split and it's a smaller logo and a QR code so that they can go and look at my sell sheets.
Right.
So I have linked in that online piece of it for a
So
quick
then
reference.
I take all of the cards that I receive throughout the day, and in my hotel room that night, I kind of just go through it. It's like, in high school when you would take notes and then the night before a test you reread them. Like that night, I do a quick review, try to like really trigger some memory in my brain of the interactions. And if you don't have time to do that, I get it, but I feel like it's a really good reinforcer that
So,
night.
all right. So we've covered business cards, but I'd like to go back to talking about sales.
Yes.
Um, so we're in the booth and we're talking about sales and we're choosing to see what's moving and what's not moving. Part of a factor of that is your demo team.
Yes.
So you need to make sure that your demo team is asking for the sale. A lot of them are fans and want to share and have the enthusiasm and have the knowledge of the and want to talk about the game, but are uncomfortable asking for the sale. I just had this conversation with several people who are friends of mine who are like, I just feel so icky. I'm sorry. We are there as a vendor. Vendor means I am selling a product. If you want to play the game, there is an entire events hall where I have also provided people to play with who know how to play the game, who are running games and product to play a full game. You can have that experience. But if you're in the vendor hall, that means we are trying to sell you the game. Asking for the sale should not be an embarrassing or shameful thing. And it's not that hard. The running joke that I like to share is Riley at 4.5 came for a half day to Total Con with me, which is the local game in Marlborough, Massachusetts, where her family lives, my niece. And so I was like, hey, let's go to a convention. So it was her and her brother's first convention ever. And they sat we had a table with a tablecloth and that was all we had. And we had Ninja Dice and Apocalypse and they were under coloring and like doing their own thing. And you could hear them giggling under there. And then every once in a while I would walk them around. They could look at other stuff, but really they just wanted to see. It was exciting just to be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so people would come over and they were like, hey, tell me about this Ninja Dice. And I'm like, well, it's a push your luck dice game. Oh, that sounds a little bit more complicated than I thought. Is it hard to play? And I go, Riley. And she'd pop up. She'd go, these are the house dice. Flow them. The house dice have the people who live in there, the gods, and the walks. These are your ninja dice. Flow them. The walk picks pick the walks. You can sneak or fight the gods and the people. Want to buy it?
Won't buy it.
And I wish I had
love
recorded it because it's my favorite. I have a picture of her with a little bubble that I've done. She perfected the pitch. She gave you the highlights of how to play it. She get an overview and she asked for the sale every time. And I didn't train her, but apparently my whole life I've been training her. So she's going to do great in sales one day
Yes.
and marketing. We already know her career path, but it's that simple. Now also, if somebody says no, don't keep pushing, but you have to ask for the sale.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that I wanted to cover. And then scheduling your team. So knowing you're going to have who's available, who you've worked with, who you can rely on, but maybe some new people depending on the shows this year. It's been a very, who's comfortable in coming, who isn't. I've had to find some new people because some of my friends are not comfortable coming to conventions, and I am not going to try to begrudge them attending a show, or even some of my coworkers. And I get that. So also knowing to schedule some people that are going to go for the sale and some people who are just really good at explaining things.
Mm-hmm.
So mix up your team. Know that when you're scheduling your team, know people's strengths and weaknesses and try to partner as a diverse group. So I have Miss Rachel, Miss Personality, larger than life. But I've also got, some friends who are quieter and have played all my games, have play tested all my games, can talk any level of what the game is about, but they struggle with asking for the sale. And we talk about it. But I also know that Rachel can see that they're starting to wrap up and can swoop in and be like, hey, you look like you were having fun. So can I wrap that up for you? You know that it's only this much, and there you get the free pin when you buy it. So are you ready? I know she could do that. Right.
Yeah.
So, mix up your team. So know when you're scheduling your team, in addition to making sure that they're scheduled where they have breaks and everybody you have a zone defense of who knows what games. Make sure that you also are being cognizant about who are your extroverts, who are your introverts, who's going to ask for the sale, who is going to struggle with it. It's a Tetris game. We showed that last week.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that during the show, you're not worrying about it.
So true. Oh my goodness.
So, let's jump back to networking for a second.
Networking.
Since we were talking about business cards.
Yes, networking is one of my favorite parts of conventions. I always try to help myself stay out and continue to meet people. I try to push myself just a little bit out of my comfort zone because specifically for Gen Con, I am going to be not expecting so much of myself. I just want all of us to have permission to do that. For these next few conventions, take it easy on yourself. But for networking, try to look around and find out what events are going on. There are some dry events, there are some bar events, there are some game events, there are some breakfasts, there's always people who are looking to connect because there are the me's out there that want to know you. And so try to keep your eyes peeled for that. One of the tactics.
And if you're an introvert like me,
yeah,
think of it as you don't as an introvert, I'm comfortable when I know they are my friend. Yes. So my goal is to make new friends. So the next time I see them, I am not uncomfortable. When I think about it that way and I gamify it, I'm like, now it's time to go make a friend. It's right. Not so much networking is I'm looking for new friends. They have things in common with me. Board games. I have a topic already. Go.
You can do it.
Right.
One of the tips that I have used is a lot of people still make Facebook events for these type of like mixers and different get-togethers. There's meetups that different content creators will set up together. And I usually will look and see in the city what scheduled events are in that specific day. And I start to see a ton of the convention meetup type things popping up. So check on Facebook and again, invite people. One of the other pieces that I did for networking in the past, do not underestimate the power of reaching out personally, even if it is somebody that you don't know very well. One of my really good friends, Bonacor, I never had met him before I invited him to a mixer that I was hosting. And I made a point to reach out to all of the people who had said yes or maybe on the Facebook event to say, hey, are you coming? I'm getting really excited. It's like in a few hours and whatever. I just set aside like 30 minutes while I was on the plane on the way there and said, hey, and I had a lot more people come because of that.
And if you're somebody who can't do that because that thought terrifies them.
Yes, but it's at least not face to face.
No. I actually, so some people, that's better. For me, I am better in person. I can cold call in person. Better than I can online. So know your strengths and weaknesses, lean into them. I am better at walking up cold in person. And just so I've learned that because my mentality was make a friend, and it is very, It is very kindergarten friends. I am not subtle. It is so, I think that that's why people allow it, because I feel like they think, oh, that's endearing, how awkward she is. I just start talking to you like I've known you for a very long time in person. I can do that in person. I can't do that as online. So for me, Paul Grogan in Essen, my first Essen by myself, my second Essen ever. Nobody else from my team is there. I had a lot of trials and tribulations trying to get there and set up the first day. And it's the second day, and I get on the train from my hotel to get to this the convention center, and he is the only English speaker I know because he says something out loud, and everybody else is speaking mostly German. And I walked over and I sat down. I was like, oh my God. So yesterday, and I just start telling him about my day. Like we knew each other. Like we knew each other. He was the only other English speaker. That is why I chose him, because otherwise I was going to talk to the lady sitting next to me and she wasn't going to know what I was saying, or if she was, she was going to pretend she didn't. And I told him about the getting on the wrong train and going in the wrong direction and finally getting there, and my stuff wasn't there and having to hunt it down. And I'm hoping today goes better. And he's like, oh my, and of course he's so polite. He's so polite. He's like, that sounds terrible. Have we met before? And I was like, no, but we have now. And he's like, so you don't know a lot of people here? And I was like, really don't. He's like, would you like to go to lunch with me and my friends? I was like, really would.
Oh.
So make a friend. You can be awkward about it. We're all awkward. We're gamers. Make a friend.
That's so true. I'm going to use that, because
thanks.
I actually am the entire opposite of you. I can talk to somebody online and send a message just fine. But if it's face to face, I get a little nervous.
Yeah. So
cool.
So yeah. And know that, like, so I'm good at compartmentalizing so that I can crash after, which is why self-care, which is another one of our topics that we kind of covered, but I'd like to do really quickly. Self-care for me is, I know that after the show, I need to take a couple days off. I will sleep. I will not talk to other human beings. I go into sensory deprivation because I've had so much incoming. So for me, that is the way I handle it. I can put it off knowing that there's an end in sight. Now, if you tell me suddenly Monday, I have something that I have to do the Monday after a show. Oh, no. Friends. T invited me. They're doing some stuff, staying in town and helping with, what is the
retailers or something, right?
No. For, he does I can see it. He wears the lab coat with the meeples all over it and does children's hospital giveaways.
God. Is it Stephen Conway?
I know. Yes. Thank you. And they're going to help load boxes and invited me. And I was like, oh, that is so thoughtful. There is no way that's happening, but thank you for thinking of me. That was our conversation, because Monday after, I will not, like, it doesn't, even if it's a low physical, just putting things in boxes, helping children's hospitals, I know one human being in my presence and I'm going to just melt down, and that's going to be a bad look for helping for children's hospitals. I think I could go on Tuesday. So, so I understand. So now, self-care. Just a reminder, talked about it last week, but make sure you got all these snacks and all this stuff for your people and for yourself. Make sure they're consuming it and taking the breaks. Enforce it. Don't say, okay, you can take your break now, and then turn around 15 minutes later. Oh, I guess they didn't want it. Don't do it.
No, go do it.
Be mean. Be mean about making sure that they take care of themselves. That's right. This is where I get called mom a lot, which I don't think it is a mom thing. I actually am aggressively having them practice self-care, because I don't need that kind of, knowing my limitations, I have had breakdowns at shows on a Sunday when I'm tired and overworked, and one more hiccup happened and lost it. And that's super unprofessional. Right. And you don't want to do that. So I am saving all of them and myself by saying, no, how much water have you had today? Go drink some more. Right. What have you eaten today? Have an apple. You don't want an apple? There's Oreos. Pick something.
Right.
Like, so aggressively help people practice self-care.
Yes. They'll thank you for it.
Yes. So during the show, that is actually one of my primary goals. My goal is to step back and assist everybody that I helped prep get ready do their thing. Not jump all over them, not micromanage them, support them in doing the things that I've asked them to do and let them shine. That is my job running the booth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good focus. Now, when you've got meetings, how do you deal with your meetings?
So again, if it wasn't scheduled in advance, it's not happening.
Okay.
At a smaller, at a big convention, at a smaller convention, sure, because it's usually just me and 20 people came by in the whole day because that's the demographic. Then fine, sure, I'll take a meeting on the fly. Of course I will. But at a big at anything over 500,000 people, if you didn't schedule the meeting, I am not attending. I'm not. It's not happening. Give me your card. We can schedule something later. Technology has advanced so much. Look at, I have a full setup. We can meet and I can be in proper lighting, but not in person, not today. So if it's a scheduled meeting, it's on my calendar and every single person on my team gets a copy of the calendar of who's on at what times, including when I am in a meeting so that they know I am not available at all. So, schedule your meetings in advance. When you have a large team that you're also helping support, do not take a meeting on the fly unless it's Walmart.
Yeah, right. Unless it is a life-changing
I mean,
moment.
Walmart trumps because again, I have yet to get a meeting with Walmart. So.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say is we talked about Calendly last week. One of the things that you can do in other meeting schedulers as part of the workflow is you can schedule reminders. Like you can set it up so that it requests their phone number and it will text them an hour before. Reducing no-shows is a huge, huge deal to me because I don't want to get somewhere, have spent that time, like set that up and then they don't come or they forgot or there was a mistake in the time zone.
Having a final follow-up is time zones.
Yes,
friends.
always check your time zones. Oh,
it's scheduling. Gosh. The struggle is real.
Absolutely.
And if you are going to come and you are going to try to do a cold call meeting, be prepared for the no. Don't take it personally and be prepared to leave something. So we're talking about for business cards having your picture on. If you're a designer, have your one page on my game pitch sheet with your contact information, please.
So true.
You would think that I wouldn't have to say this.
It's so weird.
I do it all the time. I have to say it all the time. Leave with your contact information on your pitch sheet, and so that I can look at the game and contact you. And I promise you, it's not going to be me. It's going to be Will. But I promise you, even if to say thank you for your interest, this is not a game for us, I will get back to you.
Because we have a way to do it.
Right. If you jump in and you're like, hey, well, I'm in a meeting, I will never, ever talk to you. Ever. Ever. That's hitting all my buttons. It's the introvert overwhelmed button. It's the I'm trying to be in a meeting and you interrupted me button. Like just don't do it. Don't do it. Go to the person in sales who's up at the at the register or whoever, and say, hi, I see that Julie is very busy, but I would love for her to look at my game at some point. Here is my pitch sheet. Please have her take a look, and my team will have me look at it, although I will then hand it to Will. So at this point, but it'll happen. But don't think that that's going to get you an in. That is a massive turnoff for every publisher I talk to. So
and I just want to highlight what Jondi just said. She got a business card from a designer that had a QR code to their 1-minute pitch video on the back.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Give us that sizzle.
That's amazing. Give us that sizzle. That's right.
Sizzle video.
That's amazing. I love that.
Oh man. I think that we have covered most
Everything
of the
except the last
amazing
thing.
things.
The
Yeah.
last thing. We're at the final topic.
What do you do when things go wrong?
Things will go wrong. You've prepared. Things will go wrong. Humans are human. The world is weird and wild and super scary right now. Things will go wrong.
Yes.
So what do you do? So we talked about my worst case scenario was a couple Gen Cons ago when one of my team running events, so not in the booth, not where I could see it, had a heart attack during Gen Con in the middle of the show. Had to be rushed to the hospital. He is okay. I'm not going to bury the lead. He's okay.
Yep.
He is still here with us. He is still playing board games. He was
terrifying.
More upset over the fact that he had let me down than the fact that I was, which was a lot for me. But at the time, that is an unforeseen circumstance, friends. You have to deal with it. And you have to deal with, so is that person, who's taking that person to the hospital? Is that person safe? Are they okay? When make sure to check up on a regular basis. Have a conversation with them and make sure that they understand that they are loved and they are okay and everything is fine, and don't worry about us. Focus on yourself, because that was a conversation I had to have. And then turn around and ask for the sale in the booth. Yeah. So that, finding somebody to cover those shifts, finding the people who were traumatized because it happened while they were playing my game, and make sure they're okay. Finding the people whose very next game that he was running, before we could find somebody to cover the rest of his events, those people who had paid for tickets to play that game came up and were really upset because nobody was out there, and explained the situation, which obviously they were very understanding once they knew. But find time in the schedule where they can play a game at a different time so that they don't miss out because they did pay money, or be able to refund them. All of those things during a show. And that was just one thing. So be kind to yourself. Be okay with the fact that things aren't going to always be the most ideal. Make sure that you're handling it and then taking time to take care of yourself. Again, that's self-care.
Absolutely.
Take the 2 minutes to go in the back and cry and then come out. But take 2 minutes right now. Take the whole day Monday, but take 2 minutes now, and then make sure that you're like, okay, so what is triage? What's the level of priority? What can I do right now to keep everything moving forward? Is everybody okay? Big picture, is this the end of the world really? Or is this a right now, because I'm so tired and so stressed out, I'm really upset? But am I stepping back and saying, all right, well, this was not great, but what are the silver linings? All of that. Make sure that you roll with it. And yes, also make sure that if you need to go in the back and cry for 2 minutes, go in the back and cry for 2 minutes. But make it give yourself a timer, and then take care of it. Because again, if you don't take care of it, it's going to take care of itself, and it's not going to be the way you want it to be taken care of.
Well, and when
once
you're
you've gotten
tired,
past it.
When you're tired, you catastrophize. It is really easy to go down that rabbit hole when you're really tired. And so the fact that you're like, hey, we got to be flexible, but then get back to it. We're here for a reason. Ask for the sale.
Correct. And yes, that is not, this is hard, because this is not, it's emotionally draining. It's physically draining. It's psychologically draining. And yes, I'm telling you, walk it off, rub some dirt on it. I get that. I'm not saying don't afterwards unpack everything that happened and regroup and reflect on it. I'm saying in the moment, if you are running a booth, there are people relying on you, and that is not the time to do it.
That's right.
The time to do it is, that is the time to rise above.
Yeah.
Say, big picture, what can I do, and what do I have to accept is the reality of the situation, and move forward. And there's a lot less life, like the ones where in Essen, when product wasn't allowed to be sold, I've seen
Yeah.
several companies have to rise above that. What do I do? How do I maximize? If I can't sell the games, can I still play them? Can I offer them online? Can I find somebody local to hold them until it's available to sell, and pre-sell them where they're going to pick them up at that game store, so that
Yeah.
that retailer has more additional people coming to their store to buy it. What am I doing to overcome this and
Problem
move
solving.
forward, and not just dwell in the crisis itself?
Absolutely.
Dwell in the crisis after. Unpack your
Yes.
feelings after. Take the time to do that. Take Monday off. Take Tuesday off. But don't do it in the moment, because otherwise they're going to ship them back to
Absolutely.
China because you didn't make a decision and the decision was made for you, and you have to pay for the freight shipping back to China and then back to wherever you're selling them. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So your
that is
top tip.
yes. So when things go wrong, and they will, know it's going to happen, and do the best you can.
That's right. And so that is your top tip.
And it's okay. And ask for help.
Yes.
Ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. You have this team for a reason. I have a Rachael this year. I have Will at the booth, and I have Jeff Burnside, who is been playtesting for us since the beginning. I have 3 people who are competent, intelligent, lovely human beings who, if I say, can you, if they can, they say yes. To not take advantage of that during a show and then show them love and respect and appreciation afterwards would be ridiculous. Ask for help.
And to have
So yes,
someone that you trust, it's going to get handled.
yes. So my
That's
top tip:
invaluable.
be flexible, roll with the punches, and ask for the sale.
Won't buy it.
Won't buy it.
Won't buy it. And mine is absolutely take breaks when you need them, because you are allowed to be flexible. You are able to take 2 minutes and then rein it in, because it's worth it, and then you can rest later too. So, and again, everyone be super, super understanding, especially for the first big conventions
Oh
back.
yeah.
Because
Everybody be gentle with each other. Hold each other
whoo,
gently in your hearts and
that's
minds.
exactly right. All right.
And not at all if somebody doesn't want to be touched, because we're in COVID world.
Yes, yes, we were talking about that too. All right. Do you want to talk about what all you had going on this last week?
Do I? Sure. So, I mean, we already kind of covered that I was at PSI for the vendor summit. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was just going to so everybody here who didn't go and sit through hours and hours of PowerPoint presentations, let me give you the highlights so you don't have to. So we did a lot of professional development on mass market and hobby sales and what the trends are. The biggest takeaway I got was, yes, 2020 was hard for a lot of people, and yes, 2022 we're already outpacing 2019 in board game sales, because people stayed at home and didn't want to be on their screens anymore after a day of Zoom meetings, and board games has seen a massive resurgence that is now being seen reflected in sales. So all those stores that were like, I don't know, they might close down, they're not. And they're buying more board games than ever to sell. So that's good. The one specific one I would like to talk about is Barnes & Noble's program for mass market sales.
Yes.
Has gotten super sophisticated in the past year. So when they had to shut down and everything, it was a little scary for them, because they don't have a robust online sales program like, say, Amazon. People were very concerned. Have you been to a Barnes & Noble's recently?
Yes.
They have doubled or tripled the space that board games take up in their store. And so they are not scaling down, they are scaling up. And they are scaling up to be their idea is that they want to be the FLGS where FLGSs aren't available. And they're still not going to, they're not doing all the expansions or the accessories and everything like that. That is for your actual FLGS. But they have a more robust selection of games, and that are crunchier than, a Target or a Walmart. And what they're also doing is they are now more sophisticated about their sales. So they were sending, here is your bundle, here is your cases of games, and you will have 2 of these and 5 of these, and this is how they have to be set up on the shelf, and they have to be in this order. And instead, they're being far more flexible so that the local store can take stock of what is interesting their demographic
Right.
and adjust it. So if a store is selling Jaws of the Lion,
Mm-hmm.
and another store it's just sitting on the shelf, it used to be that would then go onto the sales table, and publishers have to buy back or pay for the offset for the costs. They're saying, oh, you sold 6 of them and you still haven't sold your 2. We're taking those 2 and sending them to this other store. But you're doing really well
Genius.
with Aquatica. You take the Aquatica, and so they're allowing them to rotate out how they like their end caps, everything, so that they can be more flexible in the store and do analytics based on it and inform people. So
I'm
that was
so
super exciting.
happy.
And it was really cool to hear that they also are partnering with Double Exposure, so that in the cafes at Barnes and Nobles, they will be hosting game nights.
Yay!
So that was all very cool for mass market. Also, the downside thing that I took away from mass market was nobody's surprised. Online sales are up and have like doubled, are scheduled, like they're about, what was it, to be doubled from 2019 to 2024.
Right.
Double the amount of online offerings and purchases that have been historically available. So we're in the trillions of like what is available to buy online. Counterfeiting has doubled. So that was 4 years. Counterfeiting has doubled in the past 2 years. So counterfeiting is a very big thing. It's an ongoing problem, and we delved pretty deep into that. And you can argue about the victimist crime and everything, but it's not, especially when you see it as us as a small business owner, and somebody counterfeits something, and then the person receiving it goes to you because your name is on the online presentation for a refund or a replacement for something that isn't yours, is not your game, and you get the bad reviews and you get the negative.
Right.
So it hurts a lot of small businesses. It hurts big
frustrating.
businesses, but in different ways. So that were my 2 biggest takeaways. And then for retail, I know that they were not through PSI, but something that is because retail of hobby has also taken a hit this past year. To revitalize hobby, a big concern is that a lot of the big, like even now, if you go to Target, there's spaces in the games, and that's because they're out of stock because of the shipping.
Yeah.
So there's starting to be a concern that for Christmas sales, there will not be the evergreens that they're accustomed to ordering and having on shelves. So just saying, friends, if you have a game that is between the $24.99 and $39.99 price point that is a family-friendly game, now is the time to be reminding retailers and mass market that you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you have it here, in stock, available already.
They're doing crash-ins?
I'm just saying, they're going to have empty spaces for holiday sales so that's it.
Something's got to sell.
Something's got to sell, and you could be there for them. And that is what happened this week, and my takeaway from that information.
Excellent. I'm going to go quick. I have, of course, Great Plains Gaming Festival. We are at, you see that 7? That means countdown is 7 days. Our convention is a week from today. So I have this huge, I saw a graphic that was like a massive wave coming at a person at a beach, and that's my to-do list. So that is what my next week looks like. I am super excited. It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. Also, I wanted to throw this up here because Kim is one of our devoted viewers here, and I had a chance to be on her live show, and we talked about brand strategy with some other amazing panelists, Stephen Bonacore, Ruel Gaviola, Lauren Nepomuceno, who has been on our show. It was a blast. I felt like it was probably one of the best panels I've ever been on. And I loved just the chemistry, the takeaways, the vibe. It was just great. So I have included that link in the description box below because there is such good applicable information that came out of that. I wanted everyone to be able to see it.
Yeah.
So there is that.
So next week.
Next week.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, friends. We're getting ready for conventions. Conventions have started. So, like we said, we'll be on YouTube. We'll be doing like little, just 5-minute or less segments of tips going forward, just helpful reminders. And hopefully we will be back after con season. So sometime in November, December, but we'll see. Stay tuned. In the meantime, we love you. And we're going to see some of you in person and the rest of you. Remember, we're still always around. Reach out. We'll say hi.
Absolutely.
So that being said, I think this is it. I think we're wrapping up this season.
Thank you.
Our short and sweet season. So thank you so much for hanging out with us.
That's so true.
This awesome session was brought to you by Arcane Wonders. So once you're done here, go see all the cool things they're doing, but also as a special shout out because there was I'm doing this as a favor.
Steffu.
Yeah, the blue player was late in sending in his review for this Kickstarter, which today is the last day. So I'm just saying, if you want to go see the FOMO review, because today is their last day on Kickstarter, please do.
There you go.
But also Arcane Wonders, go see all the cool things they're doing.
Awesome. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest. And links are all in the description box below.
Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Enjoy your convention season.
Cannot wait.
And while we won't be live, you are always, just remember, you're invited.